the technology is now at a place where it's faster and sneakier than our conscious minds. In 1991, I was in college and I spent 2 months backpacking through Turkey. And me and my travel buddy Eric, we would go take buses into little towns that had never met an American. Some of them had never met somebody who wasn't from their village. And the social activities in those towns is the tea houses. So we would go hang out in these tea houses and drink tea and talk. And often the tea house was the one place in their town that had a television. They didn't get much channels. They occasionally would watch these old VHS tapes over and over again. But one of the shows they got, the show that they watched by far the most religiously, was Baywatch. So when we would come to town, we'd meet them. Where are you from? America. Oh, where? California. California! Oh, Baywatch, yes. Do you know David Hasselhoff? You know, I apologize for my Turkish accent. That was not Turkish accent. That was generic offensive accent. I apologize. And so you would be in the tea house, Baywatch would come on, everyone would go silent, and everyone would watch Baywatch, almost like studying it. And at first I thought it was so cute. You know, they were so into the show, and California, and Pamela Anderson. And then the more that I witnessed it, the more it made me sad. Because these guys would say, will you find me a bride? Bring me to America. I want to go to America, you know. And before Baywatch, they lived in this village doing the jobs that their fathers did, that their fathers did, that their fathers did. And the most that they kind of like wished that they had was maybe, you know, new pair of this pants, the same kind of pants that everyone in the village is wearing. Maybe he coveted his neighbor's ass, to get biblical. But really, there wasn't this, the difference between the poorest in the village and the richest in the village is not that much. And then Baywatch comes in and they go, and for the first time, these men realize, I'm poor. Look at all this stuff that I don't have. And suddenly you're like, oh, I want better clothes. I want a bigger house. I want a mansion. And suddenly for the first time, they can compare themselves to a lifestyle that's different than theirs, and they're disappointed. You know that term that comparison is the thief of joy? Well, this box of pictures that they all gathered around, it entertained them. It was amazing. It showed them the world, and it robbed them. And I think that is happening now. Most of my life, I have been working on a way to counteract that pressure to want more. More will be better. I'll be happier if I have more. I work with a gratitude practice. I don't watch the Kardashians. I read many teachers that say the same thing over and over, which is basically what the Buddha said, which is desire leads to suffering. And try to focus on gratitude. But recently, I feel like we have a technology upgrade that is as significant as a television in the tea house. I feel like the new algorithms and the way that short form video is being presented to us is so sneaky and so powerful. I mean, I know over the time, I know to be wary and skeptical of a sales pitch or marketing that's overt. I'm like, I'm not going to click on that. I think in the past, you could look at someone's, it used to be a joke that like, oh, erase my browser history. But a browser history is what you've chosen to look at. Now we are being presented with tantalizing things that we never chose. And yet it is things we desire because the algorithms can notice the way we pause on things. They can notice the time we spend. And so if I pause at something, whether I like it or don't like it, or it starts to go, okay, we can now work at the level of his brain deeper than his conscious thoughts. And so I have never searched for slap fighting or MMA or road rage fights. And yet I have tons of videos of that stuff that show up. And honestly, I often watch them. I've never searched for how to build a real estate empire or how to monetize your brand, and yet they pop up. And I don't, devour them, but I sometimes watch a little bit. And sometimes one person, after skipping a bunch of them, there's something about what they're saying. What? And even if I'm not listening, the words are popping up. So they're just like getting into my brain. And I've noticed that my level of contentment has been rattled. And I start to have thoughts of, I want a beach mansion. I want my Baywatch world. And I think it's really important for us to be aware that this is happening. We think that we are smart enough and savvy enough that we are not susceptible to marketing, because most of our lives we've been able to kind of keep that balance. But the technology is now at a place where it's faster and sneakier than our conscious minds. We used to have an id impulse, and the super ego would be like, no. Don't, that's a porn site. Don't click on that. The obvious answer is stop scrolling. But I admit that I struggle with that. I really focus on reduce scrolling. And the other solution, the other antidote to this slowly sinking into discontentment is a gratitude practice. As you go through your days, finding a time to bring the things out of taking for granted into awareness. So instead of going, oh man, I want that beach condo, you go, I have a warm bed. I have indoor plumbing. I have all the things that if you didn't have, you would really be bummed. And so bring it, I do have abundance. Instead of wishing you had the other thing, what do you have? The fastest way to get wealthy is to appreciate what you have. The quickest way to be poor is to wish you had more. And so I am so glad that you are with me in this moment, either live or digitally or recorded, to acknowledge that, yes, we need to practice gratitude. We need to help one another to break the spell of the hypnotizing, bouncing boobs of the Baywatch parade of more. And so we can practice with a daily gratitude practice, with sharing one another. So please join me daily at 9 a.m. on Facebook and YouTube, or at noon and 6 on Zoom. Or if you want to really go deep and have some one-on-one gratitude practice time, reach out to me. That is my specialty. Would be my honor to help develop a practice so that you can shift from I need more to I have so much. Be careful out there, people. It's real. I love you.